Good evening, I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Let's get right to what America's talking about. You break it, you buy it. The question on the minds of Americans tonight after the Trump administration's audacious incursion into Venezuela. So, after Nicolás Maduro's capture, who exactly is in charge of that country? Well, Donald Trump says he is. The declaration comes as Maduro pleaded not guilty to drugs and weapons charges inside a New York City courtroom today, saying he was kidnapped and that he's still the president of his country. While the administration has been taking a victory lap, the reason for the intervention depends on who you ask.
We're not going to let Tin Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country.
And then, of course, the drugs and the cartels, the poisoning of the American people, the violence, Tren de Aragua that have been brought to our shores.
Venezuela people want to get back to a democracy.
We all wish to see a bright future for Venezuela, a transition to democracy.
What we want is a future Venezuelan government that will be pro-American.
So we're looking for a leader that will stand up beside us and embrace those freedoms and liberties for the Venezuelan people.
This is about preserving America's independence and freedom.
Of course it is.
Nobody has ever stolen our property like they have. They took our oil away from us. All that infrastructure is rotted and decayed. And the oil companies are going to go in and rebuild it. What we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country, bring the country back, and then have elections.
All of that in the last 48 hours or so. The president says he's running the country. Marco Rubio says, actually, no, we're not. We're just giving guidance and hoping that they go along based on the threat of military action. Then it's a question of, is it about the oil, as Trump says, or is it about all those other things? And if it were about democracy, where's the democracy? Does this make any sense to you, Congressman?
Abby, no, it doesn't. I am haunted by the ghosts of Iraq and Afghanistan here, where we spent 20 years, trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, decades of lost credibility. And the American people have had enough with interventions like this. They've had enough of nation building. They've had enough of focusing on things other than the cost of living, the cost of housing, the cost of health care. Nothing that happened this past weekend is making the lives of Americans better. Right. And if you want to talk about drugs, which is a huge problem, by the way, a huge problem, it's devastating and it's destroying our communities and our children. It's fentanyl that's largely driving that, not cocaine largely, but fentanyl. And fentanyl does not come from Venezuela.
Yeah, I think it's obvious that the administration is talking out of both sides of its mouth. If the Secretary of State says we're not running it, and the UN ambassador says we're not running it, and then the president says we are running it, obviously they're not on the same page. And so the fact that we've taken this very risky, very aggressive move to arrest a foreign leader and then determine that it's our job to determine the political and economic future of this country with 0 people on the ground, and we can't even get our story straight, is not a good sign. We're in day 3 of this thing, and it's a total mess. Okay, and anyone who's being honest has got to admit that it's a total mess. And the hypocrisy is obvious, because if he says it's about law enforcement, then why are the ships still there? Because we already got the guy. And if he says it's about oil, well, we don't use our military to grab oil from countries. We don't use our military to settle disputes. And by the way, it's not our oil. It's their oil. Okay, it's the Venezuelans' oil. And if they violated a contract, then that's not what the U.S. military is for.
Let me just
so it's kind of a disaster, to be honest.
Let me play a little bit more of Trump, because, I mean, this is part of a pattern of Trump really not taking anything off the table, even while his aides might be trying to do that on the side over there. Here's what he said on Sunday about whether he's willing to put boots on the ground again in Venezuela.
I always say boots on the ground. So we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it, but we're going to make sure that that country is run properly.
Batya, I just wonder, first of all, A, how is he going to make sure that the country is, quote unquote, run properly? And B, is that now on the table, boots on the ground in Venezuela again, beyond just the operation to get Maduro out?
It's very funny to me because it seems like you guys are acting like because a simple operation that was very successful could have accomplished many goals, therefore it couldn't have accomplished any of them. I say this with all due respect, sir. I'm so grateful to you for the service you've provided to this country. But Venezuela is not Afghanistan. 25 years ago, there was a functioning democracy there. It's just apples and oranges to compare it. There is no way Donald Trump is going to put boots on the ground there. That's what the ships are there for, to not have to do that. What they're doing right now is beyond brilliant, because instead of rushing in and appointing Maria Machado, for example, they're saying, let's wait and see where the Venezuelan people are at. Let's wait until we can have an election. You can't just do that overnight. And so they are sitting there and watching and calibrating and making sure, by the way, that the Venezuelan people, as well as now the new president, understand that whatever they do, this better be good for the United States, because we're not afraid to use our power.
Trump doesn't care what the Venezuelan people think.
We actually had an election, they had an election in Venezuela, so that's a moot talking point. And let's just tick down the list real quick so we're very clear about it. This isn't about drugs, because the president of the United States, he just pardoned Juan Hernandez, who was convicted by an American jury, who's the former president of Honduras, okay? He was indicted and convicted by an American jury, and he was convicted of moving over 400 tons of cocaine into the United States of America. And the president said, go free, my brother, go free. So that's not about drugs. It's not necessarily about regime change either. I think people are missing the mark, because Maduro's entire team is still there. His military is still there. It's his vice president. So it's not about freeing Venezuelans, because if you wanted to do that, then you actually would put in a new government. You would install a new government. Or better yet, you would install the opposition leader, which he chose not to do. This is about one thing and one thing only, which is why your comparison is accurate and it strikes a chord with the American people. This is about oil. This is about oil and dollars. And I'm tired of the president of the United States. He chooses Caracas over rural health hospitals, right? He chooses Venezuelans over soybean farmers.
So,
he chooses everybody else over Americans.
Did you oppose the Biden administration putting a bounty on Maduro's head as well?
No, Maduro's a horrible person. He needs to be shackled.
But what does it
Trump
mean
just
to
acted on it.
Exactly. What do you mean that you approve of Biden putting the bounty on his head, but not of Trump actually going out and arresting the guy?
There are vastly, those are diametrically opposed. First of all, I don't think anybody here is trumpeting that Maduro's a great person. If you are, raise your hand. See, the table is silent. So that's first. He's oppressive. He deserves to be behind bars. I'm not arguing that point. But what I am arguing is that what we did was ill-advised on the global scale. There are other ways to go about doing that. And I am tired of America, just like many people on the left and the right, believing that we can go in and just implement our free will, utilize resources, utilize American troops, implement regime change or whatever it may be, and now we're doing it over and over again for oil. Don't lie to me.
No troops suffered as a result of this operation.
No, several troops were injured, first of all. Many troops were injured.
American troops were all in all unscathed.
They were injured.
What this is, it's not about oil, to your point.
Many U.S. troops were injured.
That's a side story. Although I do find it rich that progressives keep saying that this insinuation that we're going to seize their oil, because I didn't hear
what Trump said.
I bristle, by the way. I didn't hear a peep about the oil.
I don't think it would be on the table if the president hadn't put it on the table.
And what does seize their oil mean? It means we force them to give American oil companies preferential treatment. That's what seize their oil means, because oil is traded on international markets by corporations. So what Trump is going to do is he's going to pick and choose American corporations that get beneficial rights in Venezuela, and he's going to do that by threatening to kill the new leader of Venezuela, who's a Maduro apparatchik, by the way. His right-hand woman.
Yes, but Trump is exercising.
That's a huge opportunity for
Trump is exercising.
Apparatchik.
Okay.
Also a
but again,
Maduro is deputy.
Hold on 1 second.
Slower.
1 second, guys.
The point is
let me let Caroline.
You know what? Okay, can I just say something?
Let me let Caroline finish her thought.
There's one word that was not mentioned anywhere, which is strategic deterrence. It's a phrase, actually, 2 words. And what this was not about oil. It wasn't about drugs. That's all side stories. It was another show, masterfully, of Trump basically showing that he can keep Iran and Russia and China and all of our adversaries at bay. He shows that he wasn't bluffing. It wasn't empty saber rattling.
The opposite is going to happen, because what clearly happened on Saturday was a message was sent, the strongmen and autocrats and dictators and our adversaries around the world, that says if you have a big army and you have a weak neighbor or you want something from another country, you can go and take it. And nobody's going to stop you. America's not going to stop you. The rules-based order that we erected for 80 years after World War II is no longer going to stop you. It is a much more
So is it your
dangerous world
position
as
that
a
our
result of
foreign foes should expand their foothold in South America? Is that your position?
what's crazy- No,
because
that's
what Trump did
that's not.
was basically
Well, that's
said,
not.
I think-
look,
What's
guys,
actually gonna happen,
you
though-
actually
But what
can't
about?
expand your influence
I don't
over
think
this
that is
region.
I don't think that's the proper extrapolation that he's making. And I don't mean to speak for you, Congressman.
No.
But what we are saying is that things like China and Taiwan, for example, what is to prevent that from just going off the rails now? Or Russia and Vladimir Zelensky?
What do you mean?
He's
showing-
undermining the idea that big countries shouldn't be able to trample on small countries because we're a big country.
Correct.
We just trample
That's
on
right.
small
a
countries.
small country with an illegitimate leader
Anyone
whose
can say
citizens are
anything.
now erupting into cheers because
So
they
your theory of
ousted
the
My theory
case
of the
is that
case-
China was sitting there and thinking, should I take Taiwan? Oh no, I won't take Taiwan because I never saw Trump go in there and arrest a guy who was flooding the United States with drugs and illegals and gang
well,
members.
I would put it this
but
way.
now that he's done
I'm
that,
saying-
we're going to take
you
over
obviously
Taiwan.
arguing that
once
our
had a
They
claim-
can't afford it anymore.
I'm saying we
They
once had a
just
claim
lost
to the moral high
10%
ground,
of their
and now we
oil.
don't.
Our adversaries are howling exactly the way that you
I
are.
disagree.
Russia and China and Iran are howling
I disagree.
because they
Hold on,
lost
guys, hold on.
access to their
They didn't
oil.
actually lose it, but what
Hold
you're
on.
saying is not true because they actually still have the access. And there's no reason to believe that Trump schemed the way he thinks it's
You
going to play
can't
out
have it
that way.
both ways, that he's both giving preferential
You're
treatment to
underestimating him
American
again.
oil
No, I'm
companies
saying he's trying
and
to-
China
Well, hold
still
on,
has access
hold on,
to the
hold on,
oil.
hold on.
Trying to
Guys,
steal the oil,
one.
but he's not going to
Batya and Josh,
work because
let me actually
he's not
let me
doing
actually
it well,
play
because he's
what
incompetent.
Trump said on Sunday
So it makes perfect
about why the oil matters, because he has been the one talking about this. This is not just made up out of thin air. Listen.
Any commitments from the oil companies?
They want to go in so badly.
Did you speak with them before the operation took place?
Yes.
Did you maybe tip them off about
Before and after. And they want to go in.
Yeah.
He said that,
Yeah.
okay? So the oil matters because Trump thinks, it seems, that this is a get out of jail free card. He said repeatedly over the weekend that this is not going to cost the United States anything because the oil is going to pay for it. Meantime, there's not a lot of indication that there's much value to the United States companies to drilling oil in Venezuela. Rather than being energized by Trump's drill baby drill chants at pep rallies, this is what one analyst says, the U.S. oil industry has gone into retreat. Many U.S. oil giants like Chevron, Exxon, ConocoPhillips, Occidental have been forced to lay off thousands of workers over the last year. Many producers are waiting for oil prices to increase before they raise production. So there's not really a lot of, it's supply and demand, not a lot of interest in adding more demand onto the marketplace of global oil.
I think this is the wrong issue, though.
Not
This
if
is-
you're,
here's the
an
thing.
oil conglomerate,
here's
but
the
if you're
thing.
the American
Trump-
people who want affordable energy, of course we want more
hold
production.
on a second. Yes, but production isn't being done by the United States government. Production is being done by for-profit corporations who are not going to
And
do things to
just a-
reduce their
a point of-
profit.
just a-
But
You're saying
Trump,
they don't want in,
Trump
even though they
doesn't
said they
seem
do?
to understand any of that, and this has now become one of the reasons, the principal reasons in his mind why this needs
a
to
point of clarification for Batya is that it would cost these oil companies hundreds of billions of dollars to go in and rebuild the infrastructure necessary for them to go in and refine the oil necessary for it to be used. We're talking about American companies. And so I think what we're seeing right now is Donald Trump, the president of the United States. Republicans love to sit around this table and tell me, don't believe what the president says. Like, don't believe your lying eyes, right? He tells you the reason he's doing things over and over and over again. And when I repeat them, you're like, oh, you have Trump derangement syndrome. No, I can just hear and repeat, right? But oil companies, although he says this is for oil, I articulate that this is for oil. Oil companies say that this can't be for oil because it would simply cost too much and ruin our bottom line.
I thought all these MAGA people were supposed to be against using the military to steal oil from other countries.
That,
now,
to me, is
he
the
tries
key
to do it,
point,
and everyone
Josh.
flips. And I
That,
actually
to me-
agree with that now, and now I'm on the other side.
This is the key point.
All
This
the
is the
MAGA people are like,
we're
oh my God, now we got to take all their oil, and we're going to kill the
we're-
president of the country if he doesn't.
We're
if he doesn't
sitting
give
here
it to us.
talking about whether it's
Isn't that the
feasible
opposite
or
of
not,
MAGA?
whether it's feasible to do this or not, oil this, oil that. Listen, this is not the conversation that Americans are having. Americans are over it. They do not want this type of intervention. They don't want the type of nation-building quagmire that we just spent 20 years and trillions of dollars doing. We've never been good at it. We've almost always failed at it.
There's no evidence this is going to escalate into that. There's no evidence
no
of
evidence
that.
in Iraq and Afghanistan either, but we have no evidence in our history.
First of all,
Let me hit pause on this conversation because we actually have a lot more on this very topic coming up. Listen, There's a new doctrine apparently on the table. It's not just Venezuela. Trump is now threatening other countries, including a NATO ally now. But who would actually stop him? Plus, Mark Kelly responds to Pete Hegseth's punishment for telling troops to refuse illegal orders. We'll debate that next.